you're going to have a higher occupancy. When we're going back to the hotels and the size of the houses, it makes a lot more sense to have a larger house. Even if you personally would never use an 8-bedroom house, an 8-bedroom house will rent out better than a 3-bedroom all day long.
So if I can afford an 8-bedroom house, then I'm going to end up paying myself back faster than I would if I bought a 3-bedroom.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because typically, I think history, 3-bedrooms rent out roughly 50% of the time. 8-bedrooms are more 70%. So you're going to have a high. So yes, I mean, the obvious piece is the 8-bedroom should make more money. But when you look at it relative, you will have more occupancy and more money in a larger home than you would with a smaller home. There's a higher demand. And then if you also look at demand alone, there's tons of 3-bedroom units anywhere, whether it's a condo or a townhouse or a single family house, there's a ton of 3-bedroom homes. Once you start getting into 8, 9, 10, 14-bedroom homes, you're not seeing that as much. So you don't have as much competition on those houses.
Oh, yeah, sure. That makes sense. Well, I think that's a good point that you made about the occupancy rate, because, the dollars are going to change, but the rate at which people are in it is key. Mm-hmm. Because obviously, if you're going to have it just scales out better. You're going to have a higher rate of people in it, and you're able to charge what even if you had the same nightly rate as a 3-bedroom versus a 6 or 8-bedroom, obviously you wouldn't. But even if you did, you'd still make more money just because it's going to be housed faster and longer.
Yep, you'll have it rented more often than not.
Perfect. And then, so as far as being successful in creating this, it sounds to me like there's a lot of moving parts, right? So one of the things that I really was kind of curious about, if I'm going to buy a property that I want to, have either manage it myself or have someone else manage it. One of the things that I really liked that you talked about was the customer service piece, the customer experience team, right? Is that what you called it?
Yes. Yep.
And how, if it's me and I'm running it and I got to be available 24/7, that's a lot. What are some of the things that, your team, if you can speak to that, they've had to address with people while, they're here on vacation? What's some of the wild and crazy? Well, more like, okay, so I'm in my house. What are some of the things that have had to be addressed in the wee hours, or in a non-9 to 5 time frame that your team has successfully helped out with, that me as a human being all by my little self could not even imagine trying to deal with? You know what I mean?
I'll give you an example. When we went at the end of May, and it was Memorial Day weekend, we went to a Vacasa property in St. Augustine, right? So we were taking the kids there to celebrate getting out of school. So when we went there, the AC wasn't cooling quite as well as it should, okay? So we called the customer experience team. Their job is basically that they have to have somebody reach out to us within a half an hour. Okay.
Oh,
so
nice.
they said, look, we're going to have somebody reach out to you within a half an hour. The local operations team will reach out to you. I said, that's great. So within a half an hour, they had sent the initial maintenance person over to see if he can troubleshoot what was going on with the AC. The problem was larger than what the local maintenance team could handle. So they really needed an AC specialist. They were able to call a vendor, get a vendor out within 15 minutes. And then they were able to have everything complete and fixed and cooled off within a half an hour of us making the initial call. So if you're trying to do it yourself, right, it's really difficult, especially if you're not local, to not only try to figure out what's going on, but if it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, in the afternoon, then and somebody doesn't have that vendor, then you're having to wait till the next day to try to get somebody out there. And that can be a mess. That's a large scope for just one person to handle if they don't have the resources and the manpower to do that. By that time, if you have somebody sleeping overnight with no AC, now you're having angry people, which are bad reviews, which now they're asking for money back, or they're asking to be moved altogether, right? And so it ends up hurting you to not have that manpower.
That makes complete sense. Because then if you get bad reviews, you get less. No one's going to rate them.
Correct.
Cool. Well, it sounds to me like there's a few big things to take into consideration. One, we need a resort style community. 2, we need a bigger space than just for one single family unit to accommodate groups or larger families. 3, we need to have the support system in place that would allow you as a owner of this property to have the most success possible. And unless you are personally willing to be available 24/7 or have resources at your disposal that you can take advantage of. And then the other one is just recognizing that the marketplace is not personal, so that you can have someone really step in on your behalf and make the most money for you out of your property, so that you're able to take advantage of kind of a less emotional standpoint, so that you're able to take advantage of those last minute bookings and get the most out of your property.
Yep.
Is there anything I missed that would be really important?
Make sure you have a good realtor that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, pick me. We're happy to help. It's my favorite. Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate that you took the time to kind of share this with us. And I think because it's such a big, it's really such a big investment right now. It's becoming more and more of interest. I know that there's lots of different ways to skin this cat, but I think having someone that can really have your back on both sides of it, whether you're getting started and then taking it to the finish line with it, I think those things are really important. So I really appreciate you helping us kind of see that, and look forward to having an opportunity to work with you down the line for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun.
Hopefully we have the opportunity to work with you and help you any way we can. Until then, make it a great day.